So thank you for joining us to learn about Notes Extractor, which is available for IBM Notes Domino. What we're going to cover today are, I'll introduce you to myself, and I have my colleague here with us. We're going to talk a little bit about Notes databases, go over a couple use cases as to why you would want to do a Notes extraction and conversion project. Talk a little bit about auditing and analyzing your application portfolio, determining a path for your databases. Then we'll talk about extracting and converting the data and design of your Notes databases. We'll quickly touch on importing the data and design into a new platform, which we will reference SharePoint, actually. I'll quickly introduce our migration solutions that can do this for you. We'll tell you a little bit about how they work. I'll go over some of our references, or I'll just show you some of our references. At that point, you can jump in with some questions, initial questions that might have come up during my presentation. And then I will introduce you to my colleague who will take over and introduce you to the user interface of Notes Extractor. And he'll also be able to answer any technical questions that you might have. So let's go ahead and get started. So we are Cooperteam. We were founded in 1998, and we are actually headquartered in the south of France. We develop and resell solutions for IBM Notes Domino, Microsoft Exchange, and Office 365. You can visit our website at www.cooperteam.com. I am Rebecca Dundek. I suppose you can tell which one in the picture that I am. I handle our international customers, meaning customers who are located outside of French-speaking territories. And my colleague John Crutel is our technical support manager, and again, he will take over after my presentation to introduce Notes Extractor and to technical Notes Extractor and to answer any questions that you might have. So, let's talk quickly about the different types of Notes databases. Of course, you have mail databases, which are message or archives that correspond to a mail template. You have standard databases, which are team room, discussion, document libraries, etc. We call them slightly modified databases, which are standard Notes templates, but they've been slightly customized. Or you've got custom non-standard Notes templates, but they're not complex. Or you've got complex databases, which are workflow, email, they're capable of sending email, X pages, etc. Or there's quicker databases, which are content libraries. The goal here is to be able to extract and convert the data and design for all of these types of databases. Just a few things about inactive databases. What we see on average for a Domino environment is that about 15% of databases are no longer in use and are just taking up space on your Domino servers. A good percentage of the databases that are no longer in use most likely contain data that must be kept for legal reasons. Other databases that aren't in use could be old discussion databases and forums or project-specific applications, things like that. So why are they still around? Well, obviously they're not bothering anyone, so we don't bother with them. There's other more significant priorities to tend to that might be at the top of your list, or they're just too complicated to deal with, or you just keep putting it off. So, two use cases why you would want to do a Notes database extraction and conversion project. The first one is if your company has been using IBM Notes Domino for many years and they don't intend to change, then you're probably looking at doing an infrastructure optimization project. And two, if your company is thinking about, preparing for, or has already begun moving away from IBM Notes Domino, then you're looking at a migration project. So quickly about the first use case, which would be infrastructure optimization. If you've been challenged with the task of cleaning up and optimizing your Notes Domino infrastructure, there are a few goals you'd like to achieve. You want to cut down on time spent performing routine maintenance. You want to reduce the amount of server space used. and you want to lower your server cost. The next one, the second use case would be for a migration project. If your organization has decided to move away from IBM Notes Domino, you are facing some challenges. The easy part is migrating your mail over to the new messaging system such as Outlook, and you might have already done that. Congratulations. But what about all those applications? You need to figure out what you can and cannot do with your applications. You'll need to know things such as, are they still in use? Who's using them and for how long they will need them? Are they simple or are they complex? Do they contain encrypted documents? Is a replacement application available for the new platform? Or what is the effort and cost involved in migrating the application? So in other words, is it worth the effort of migrating it? So whether you are staying on Domino and need to clean up your environment, or you are migrating to a new platform, the process starts in the same way. If you haven't done this step already, you will need to audit and analyze your application portfolio. You'll need information that I mentioned on the last slide, excuse me, as well as information such as the database size, its last activity, who the top users are, who the database owner is, when it was created, what is its relevance to the business, is it even important anymore, how many documents does it contain encrypted documents, what's the code complexity, and much more. So once you have a good image of what your database portfolio looks like, you'll need to determine what to do with each of them. If they're no longer used and contain no data that needs to be kept, then they can likely be deleted. If they are no longer used but the information needs to be accessed for reference or it needs to be kept for legal and auditing purposes, then you can extract and convert the data and provide it as read-only via a web browser or shared drive. If the application is too complex or outdated and there is a good replacement solution for the new platform, then you can either delete or archive the old database and start fresh with the replacement application on the new platform. And finally, if you want to have the same application on the new platform with its data and design and the ability to read and modify the information, then you will need to convert the data and import it into the new platform. So let's talk about converting notes data and design according to its type. For example, XML format is used for each notes document, which contains all structured data such as the text, number, and date fields, and the document properties such as the creation or modification date and time, the document ID, its size, and security. And the security of the documents should be maintained by translating the note's full name into either LDAP or UPN format. HTML format is used for rich text, rich information, rich text or MIME, preserving styles, tables, graphics, sections, tabs, links, etc. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that I wasn't showing you the slide there. Moving on. GIF, JPEG, and PNG are used for images, which are individually stored, meaning single instance storage. EML is used for mail databases. XSL is used for any data display elements such as forms, views, navigation menus, and attached files and OLE objects are saved on disk in their original formats. So lastly, let's talk about being able to automate the integration of converted data into SharePoint or a new platform. The goal is to migrate both the data and design of your notes applications, where OLE attachments and objects become SharePoint libraries, and documents in rich text format become standard SharePoint lists. You want to also be able to migrate the metadata in notes documents while preserving document security and information about the user's identity. You want the ability to integrate data into custom lists of your choice, as well as be able to map the fields between Notes and SharePoint. And finally, you want a capable tool that is compatible with SharePoint 2010, 2013, 2016, and SharePoint Online. So the solutions, what we offer, again, today is about Notes Extractor, but just so you know about all three of our tools, the first one that we talked about for audit and analysis is Domino Application Dashboard. That tool will do what I talked about earlier. Notes Extractor, which is the extraction and conversion of your data and design. And then our tool, SharePoint Provisioner, will import the extracted data into SharePoint. So quickly, how these tools work. Application Dashboard consists of two components. It's Info NSF and Application Dashboard. Audit servers are selected depending on factors such as geographical location and server type. A processing server is selected which will be used to synchronize and process the audit results. The Info NSF executable and database are installed on the audit servers, and the Application Dashboard database and executable actually, there's two executables for Application Dashboard. They are installed on the processing server. InfoS will audit the target databases and store the audit results, and application will synchronize with InfoNSF and compute the results into various reports, which will include the important information that is needed in order to actually launch a data conversion process. Notes Extractor is composed of one database and one executable, which are installed on a Domino server or user workstation. Notes Extractor will read the contents of the Notes database to determine the list of documents to convert. Each Notes document is extracted to a set of files that contain the same information as before in Domino, but in their new corresponding open formats. SharePoint Provisioner is a WSP file extension, or Windows SharePoint solution rather, and it is installed on and executed on a SharePoint server. With the help of a setup wizard, the software guides the user in importing the converted data results from Notes Extractor and helps them integrate them seamlessly into appropriate SharePoint sites. Now, here's a look at some of our references. These are people who are either using Application Dashboard, Info NSF, or Notes Extractor. We included some people from the French side that are using a couple of our other tools like Archive Mail and Desktop Manager, which are very helpful in preparing for an extraction project. And we can talk about that if anybody has any questions for John. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and hand over the controls to John. He is here and he is going to go over any the technical usage and interface of the tool itself.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon. So my name is John, Cooperteam. So just quickly I wanted to show you some examples, some technical examples. First, I will show which kind of information we should collect before starting to extract any data. As per said Rebecca, we need to start usually doing an analysis of your Domino application. We are using what we call that Domino application dashboard to audit all databases on all your Domino servers. The results are a big picture, like the global audit results that I'm currently showing you. This one is a sample from one of our customers. It will show the big numbers of your Domino infrastructure, such the number of databases, the total size of all databases, total number of all documents, the oldest database date, oldest document, the number of attachment files contained in databases in total, the total size of them, and more information would be regarding cautionary findings such encrypted databases, empty databases, inactive databases, and maybe databases that require specific care, such databases with hidden design, hidden library, hard-coded server names, or these kind of things. Any questions so far? No. Okay. So we can provide such numbers, and we could segment your application in different way for a specific reason or specific needs. So that's just some samples of what we are able to do using application dashboard before starting the project. Now I will going to show node structure itself. So as Rebecca demonstrated at first, so it's a nodes database. So that's how it works. It's a NSF database with an executable that can run on either a workstation with at least a nodes client, or you can install it on a Domino server. Okay, it's up to you. It depends if you want to dedicate a workstation to run the extraction, or you might want to do it directly on the server. Okay, for the database itself, you will find first you might want to start by creating what I call the corresponding table. So what we want is the user identity correspondence between Domino versus Active Directory, or let's say an ADAPT directory at least. So we are able to synchronize a nodes extractor with your Domino directory, and then we do the same synchronization against your Active Directory or LDAP server. So the results will be for each user, for each full name, you will get a correspondence name in either LDAP or UPN format. This will be very useful if you want to add the security level on every document, such as read-only or read and write for every single document extracted with node extractor. After this step, what you can do is the main setup document. So you will go to the databases port, you will create a XML setup, which is the main setup document for nodes extractor. So you will give a name to this document. You might give a comment. So I will leave you on there. You can categorize just to get the setup document organized in the view. Then you will be able to select which database needs to be converted. So you can easily select databases from this button. Or so let me just pick one database for example. If you need to add extra database, there is no problem. It's a multi-value field, so you can select specific folder, such mail, and use the star as a special character to include all databases under the mail folder. If there is maybe one particular database that you want to exclude from the process, you could specify it here, such a VIP database, let's say. Below, the folder path will be where you're going to save for every single database, where you're going to save the extraction result. Remember that for every single database, we create a folder which contain subfolders with XML, HTML, XSL information. Okay, so you can name every folder based either on the database name or the replica ID or even the database path if you want to keep a database path in the folder name. So usually customers are just using the DB name as the name of the folder. Okay, so that was the first tab, only to select which database are you going to extract. The second database is regarding the data contained on the selected database on the previous tab. So you might or not want to extract data from databases. If you do, you might want to only extract part of the documents. Doing so, you will need to create a selection using a formula selection. Okay, so I make it very simple. Let's say that I want to extract only documents that contain a form such as a document. If you want to export profile documents, which are very specific documents, you can. Then below, there are the export data options. So you might want to export any structured data such as text, number, date, and so on as XML. You want to replace any keywords, aliases to display the value. You want also to extract any rich text field or main parts as HTML. If you want also, you could extract rich text information as plain text files. It's something that you can do. Would you like to extract any attachment files and OLE objects? And then there will be the security part. Would you like to translate node's full name as LDAP name, as internet address, or no translation? If the results will be imported then in SharePoint, you might want to check this SharePoint specific option. Okay, so far. The last tab is regarding the design of the database, of every database. So design elements are a big part of any database. What we know are views, forms, agents, script libraries, and so on. But we cannot export everything. Okay, we only export forms, views, and navigation menus. But we give you some options. So first, you might have selected only mail databases on the first tab. So you will only select this, specific mail database option, where if you want, you could change the label of the results. So let's say that you want to do it for French users, so that will be boîte de réception, for example, and so on. Okay? Let's say that the selected database are quicker applications. You only need to select quicker application there. Let's say that you don't want to export any design. You will select no. For anything else, you will click on yes. You could then have extra options to export specific forms and views. And I think the best option there is what we call the custom views. We are able to allow you to recreate as many views as you want. So I'm just going to show how to create one custom view. That will be I will give a title to this view. So I will call it a custom view. You will select documents that you want to display in this specific view. So I don't want to specify any specific formula selection, so I will just make it all. Then you will specify the number of columns. So let's say that I need 3 columns, and for every single columns, you have a specific wizard that helps you to create the column information. So the first will be the title of the first column. So you might want to call it a subject. You want to something which is at least 20 pixels, and you want to justify it. You want maybe to change the color of it, and you want information categorized, and the sort would be descending. And of course, the value that you want to display in this column is only the content of the subject field. You just need to click on this build column to create the specific syntax used by the software itself. You click on OK, and you can go to the second column. So I just make it very standard, date, and so on and so forth. Okay, so far? Any specific question regarding this? No. So I will now show you the result. Okay, so once you created a setup document, you will save the document. Okay, so that's a setup document which is in your list of somewhere in the list, and you will automatically run the software. So remember, you can either run the software from any Nodes client, so locally from any workstation, or you can run it on the server. And of course, what you would need to do first is to save the executable, not Extractor executable, on the Domino program folder. If you do so, you just need to click on this button. For every execution, you will find a log file. I'm giving you the number of extracted documents and the destination folder, and any error if you have any error. Okay, so I will now show some samples. So remember that any results will be a set of folder like those, where for each of them you will find specific subfolders containing the data. So for every single document we create an XML document. So by opening this, I can see that this folder contains 79 elements. So this database was having 79 documents, or at least I selected 79 documents using the setup document. At the root of this, you will always find an index.html file. You can just open it. It will be open in your using your browser, web browser, and automatically you will get such results. So as you can see, I don't need any web server to display the data. I'm looking at my C drive, and I'm not running any web server. And what I can see is HTML results as a read-only, because I won't be able to modify the content, but at least I can open every single document. I can look at the data. I could even save attachment files locally. So that's a specific email file. As you can see on the left-hand side, we recreated the menu: inbox, draft, sent, all, trash. We also created calendar if you want to extract also calendar entries, and any existing folder will be there, or subfolders. Okay, if I open, let's say, one of the documents, I open this one. So this one was a message sent from my colleague displaying this very nice inline picture. Okay, any existing link, such, let's say, this link, or the mail to link, or any historical information, it's there. You can look at the data, you can save the file. So I could just save the file from there on everything. It's very convenient. Now let's have a look to a calendar entry. So I'm going to take this one that was regarding a public bank holiday in France a couple of days ago. So that's how it looks like. Okay, so this first example is showing a mail file. Now you might wonder how an application looks like. So I'm going to show you an application that contains one specific custom view. So that was a Spanish customer. So we created this per category view. As you can see on the right-hand side, so there is a category for the first column, okay, showing you the number of documents underneath. And for every single document, you could open the document and get to the content and get to any attachment files if you need to. Okay. Once again, it's only as read-only. So this kind of extraction is very good if you don't need to modify, add, or delete any of the content. It's good for legacy, for archive databases, for any databases that doesn't have activity for, let's say, at least the last 6 months. Okay, for any databases that require activity, you will use Notes Extractor results to import data into SharePoint. You might want to do to SharePoint online or SharePoint on-prem. So I'm going to show you now on our SharePoint server how a Notes database could look like. And of course, because we are extracting design elements before, you could have access to the XSL file and you could modify the XSL file to match your need, your business layout, logos and fonts and so on. So you could, everything is open as we're going from a closed format, which is the NSF format, to an open format, which is XML, HTML, XSL, where you can do every modification, and from there you will import any content into SharePoint. So doing so I have some samples like for a mail database, let's say. Of course, it's only testing purpose. You will not import mail file into SharePoint, but that was only for testing purpose. So let's say that you want to know how it looks like. That's how we could see information into SharePoint. I have maybe another database. So the good thing regarding SharePoint is you will be able to edit the content. So from this specific document, you will, let's say, edit the document, and in this specific description field, you will be able to add new content. And you save. The new content was just added. Okay, what else can we do within SharePoint? It's usually a search. Of course, you could search with the XML, HTML results using Microsoft Search. But if you want something stronger, you might want to use the SharePoint search feature. So it's something that, let's say, I want to search for the content word, and automatically, once it's indexed, of course, I will see any results there. So guys, if just feel free to ask questions. Is there are any specific questions, please? Do you like it? You don't like it? You don't think it's useful? Just let us know.
Yes, this is Roger speaking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Roger.
Hi. Greetings from Bermuda, by the way. My question is, how about the hidden fields? Because I just saw in an example I could see the hidden fields. Are they not hidden anymore on SharePoint?
We extract everything. So of course they are not hidden by default in SharePoint. It's something that you could modify before importing the content into SharePoint. So anything of the display, because it's only a display issue, what you should do before doing this is go to the design folder of any result, and let's say that you want to modify the form that is displaying the data, and any hidden fields that were that used to be hidden in Notes, can be removed from XSL. The goal is to extract everything. So we maybe extract more than what we should. It's the layout. It's open. If you want to hide or not any more specific fields, it's something that will require a specific job after Notes Extractor process.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So the XSL could be reworked. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, in that case, I think that we will let you go for today. Have a fantastic day, and I hope to speak with all of you soon. Thank you so much.